Tell me a little bit about, how how you overcame the depression. I know you talk about a ministry that you were involved in.
Yes. So I did start going to counseling. I had a really awesome Christian counselor. And I would say that it's very important to make sure, like, I had a recommendation from a friend, and making sure you have a good, solid Christian counselor because you can get some really strange advice sometimes in counseling sessions. So making sure that that counselor is an actual believer. Um, and then you can get biblical counseling as well, but I find that doesn't always that's helpful, I think, in a lot of circumstances. But when you're dealing with depression, I think there's usually root causes that, you need to get to the bottom of. So that is where kind of entered. My husband and I are part of a ministry called the Relationship Resource. And they have a program called, they have part of their program is that they have men's skills and women's skills. And it's all about learning how to relate well to other people. And so with this, they follow a program, or not a program, but they follow a modality that talks about learning your pain and your peace cycle. So what that looks like is when you feel triggered, when you have an emotion, identifying what that feeling is. And so for me, like, I tend to feel rejected, devalued, unsafe, and hopeless. So if I had, those are my four biggies. I feel rejected. So oftentimes I get triggered, and that triggers my feelings of rejection and this past pain. So rejected, devalued, unsafe, and hopeless. And so those are my four. So on the pain part, those are the feelings that when I feel triggered, usually I can stop myself and be like, what am I feeling right now? Yep. Usually one of those four things. Sometimes it's other thing. And then what we tend to do is we slip over to our coping mechanisms. Those are things that they're survival mechanisms that we used as a child, but as an adult, it doesn't serve us very well. And so we need
Right.
to
Yes.
learn better ways of, I don't even like saying coping, but better ways of acting when we are experiencing some sort of pain or feeling. And the best way to do that is to combat those lies with truth. And so what I've learned to do, and I'm getting faster and faster. So when I feel something, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling rejected. I need to go down to my truth, which is my truth is that I am loved, I am cherished, I am valued, I am treasured by God. And so that's immovable. Like, people in your life will let you down, but God is, steadfast. And so then I have verses, I have a ton of verses for each of those different components. So like I have like 5 verses that just I really resonate with. And I'm like, oh, God just lavishly loves me. I'm dearly loved. I'm chosen. I'm adopted. And so that helps me to combat that lie. And then when I'm rational, and I have thought through this, because when you're triggered, you want to go to your normal coping mechanisms. But when you're rational and not triggered, you figure out, okay, I feel like I want to go and escape right now. So for me, I'm a people pleaser. That's one of my coping mechanisms. But I'm an escaper, and one of my escape mechanisms is overeating. So I'm feeling pain, so I will make myself feel good by eating something that makes me feel good. So I have struggled with that all of my adult life and some of my teen years. And so instead of choosing to escape with food or whatever it is, I grew up with TV on 100% of the time growing up. And so sometimes I want to go watch a show or want to do that. Now I think to myself, I'm feeling this, but I know this is the truth. So I go to those verses. I really want to go to food, or I want to go watch something, but instead I am choosing to stay connected to, like I'll have set things that I try to really work through. So think about these new actions I'm going to take. So that's been a big part of my healing journey. And so now I'm a facilitator for women's skills. And so Steve and I run both men's skills and women's skills classes and try to help people the same way we were helped. It's a 12-week program. So it's been amazing.
Well, that is so great. And I think it's so helpful for us, Christy, because I mean, you and I are both, I think, people.
Yeah.
And I can remember one time when we were little, my older sister was 6 years older and my younger sister was 3 years younger. And so the two of us would bicker with each other a lot. And finally, my mother would say, "You can say anything you want to, but you have to say it with a smile," you know? And
Ah!
I'd say, "Sybil, I am so mad at you." And, or I do not condone this. I'm just saying, I would smile and say, "I hate you." And, but you do that long enough, and then we would just be dying laughing and
Oh,
forgetting
yeah.
what we were mad about. But it really did teach me to put on that smiley face,
Yeah. Just
Lizzie.
good and bad.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes. Lizzie would say to me when she was a little girl, "Mom, when you're around grown-ups, why do you always do this?" Yeah,
You have to love kids.
yes, you
They see
do.
it. They
Yes,
really see it, and they
that's
call it
right.
out.
And so you do. It does when you're motivated by those things, you always, you seem happy on the outside, and it can really be masking
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of pain.
Yeah, it's our imposter mode. So we go into this imposter mode where it becomes this act that we put on that we help people to see what we want them to see so that they don't know how much we're struggling. But the problem is that when we're in imposter mode, we can't really be seen or known. And the ache of our heart and the way God created us is to be seen and to be known.